Well, Gian Villante versus Maurice Greene took place on the main card of UFC Fight Night Vegas for Poirier versus Hooker, and I was a little bit, it was a shocking ending, I'll be honest with you guys. It really was a bit of a shocking ending, in my opinion. I mean, the fight itself was a good fight. Don't get me wrong, the fight itself was great. I enjoyed it. It was funny. I don't think it was action-packed. I wasn't getting up and screaming out of my seat. I wasn't shaking with excitement the entire time, but I was chuckling to myself warmly at the state of Gian Villante, because I'll be honest with you guys, my prediction for this fight was that Gian Villante was going to go out there and win and get the upset at heavyweight, because I predicted that Gian Villante, and I made this prediction last week, I thought that Gian Villante was going to just not cut weight and be in 205 shape and actually go out there and be the better fighter against Maurice Greene, which in my opinion he was. I said in my prediction video last week that if Gian Villante shows up like a fat mess, then I really am going to regret my decision. And I said I hope that Gian Villante is not going to show up out of shape. I really hope. He didn't just show up out of shape. He showed up in worse shape than me. He had a fight camp for a fight, and I am in better shape than Gian Villante. I'm the same height as Gian Villante, pretty much. I'm 235, he's 255. I'm in better shape than Gian Villante. You don't show up to a fight in that kind of shape. But let's talk about the fight in general. It was a close fight. Maurice Greene won the first round, in my opinion. He was just outlanding Gian Villante a little bit too much. Gian Villante was landing big shots, don't get me wrong, but Maurice Greene was landing the oblique kick. And by the way, you could really tell Jackson Wink's influence on Maurice Greene. I mean, I think this was his first camp at Jackson Wink, and immediately he's throwing oblique kicks randomly and looking for eye pokes. So, you know, John Jones is rubbing off on him a little bit, I believe. Next thing you know, he'll be crashing cars into pregnant women. But still, Maurice Greene, honestly, I mean, Maurice Greene's probably likely to crash cars anyway, by the state of his eyes. Keep him on the road, Maurice. Either way, Maurice Greene had a decent performance in the first round. It was a close round. I gave it to Maurice Greene. He landed more. He didn't land the more effective shots, but he landed more. He landed the oblique kick a couple times. He was landing some good leg kicks himself. Good round for Maurice Greene. Round 1 goes to him. Round 2 was a bit closer. I thought Gian Villante landed the bigger shots. Maurice Greene outlanded him 26-23, but again, the oblique kicks, unless they hyperextend your knee, they're not really doing too much damage. And in round 2, Gian Villante started to hammer home with some of those leg kicks. And actually, Maurice Greene at one point was sort of wobbling on his leg and had to switch stances. He was clearly limping. So in my opinion, on a damage standpoint, on a damage viewpoint, you maybe could argue that Gian Villante could have stolen round 2. It was a close round, but I think that Maurice Greene, you know what? Benefit of the doubt, we'll give that one to Maurice Greene. I thought Gian Villante could have won that round, but still, round 3 came around, and Gian Villante, I thought Gian Villante was going to win this one in the second round by TKO, but it turned out that he just reincarnated as Roy Nelson in round 3 and landed the haymaker, the check hook that he was looking for the whole fight. Pretty much, he was winging it a bunch of times and missing it, but in the third round it landed because Maurice Greene went for a Superman punch like a fucking retard. Gian Villante landed the big bomb, dropped Maurice Greene, and then gets on top of him, and this is the craziest thing I maybe have ever seen in MMA history. And I need to be very clear here. That was not a choke. And I know a lot of people are saying, wow, what a comeback. And the commentary went crazy. And everything went wild. And everyone was saying, wow, crazy comeback. He gets the choke from on bottom. And at first, I thought to myself, hang on a second here. Let me see the replay. I wasn't even calling it a choke. I know Maurice Greene had a position. I was watching him have that position on Gian Villante. And I was saying, oh, I wasn't even bringing it up because it wasn't a choke. His arm was wrapped around the behind of his head. There was no neck compression. There was no side of the head compression. There was no compression whatsoever, it felt like. I didn't even see Maurice Greene squeeze too hard. And I thought to myself, you know what? Let me see the replay. Maybe he has equal choked him and I just didn't see. Maybe he slid that other hand underneath, learned a little thing or two from Alexei Olenek, I guess, in their fight, and maybe he came back with an Ezekiel choke. Let me check. They showed the replay again. Wasn't an Ezekiel choke. It was an arm triangle off bottom, which is genuinely impossible. And Gian Villante, the fat, miserable slob, had a cardiac... Hang on a second. Hang on a second here. I feel bad for Gian Villante, but had a panic attack and tapped. I don't know why he tapped. It wasn't getting choked out at all. He was just, I guess, feeling a little bit claustrophobic in a choke that's going to restrict your breathing. That's what happens when someone squeezes on you. You weren't going to go out cold, but he has asthma. He had a panic attack. Tapped out to diabetes in the 3rd round. Gian Villante loses. I think it's very clear to say that after that performance, Gian Villante is not taking his career seriously. He didn't show up in shape. And I'll be honest with you guys again, I can't believe he tapped. It was crazy. There was no pressure there. I understand Maurice Greene, and we'll talk about Maurice Greene as well. When he was crying afterwards, I thought to myself, shut the fuck up. Don't act like you've just been through some fucking war where you've come out on top at the end like Adesanya Gastelum style. Even Adesanya wasn't even crying. Hang on a second. I just composed myself. Maurice Greene won the fight because his opponent went into cardiac arrest. Like, it's just... and he's crying about it like he's come out of fucking... Shawshank Redemption, like he's crawled out of the sewers of the prison scene. Like, it's just... It was so weird to me. But Maurice Greene gets a win, which is probably better for the UFC, honestly, because although Gian Villante is a big name, and he probably was on his way to winning that fight, in my opinion, Maurice Greene is the younger guy, the newer guy. He's got a terrible fucking record, but then again, so does Gian Villante. I mean, this is improving Maurice Greene's record to 9-5. I think you should take that as a hit. If your record is 9-5, I think you should drop UFC and take up a 9-5 immediately and start a different job. Either way, he won the fight. He stopped himself from being cut from the UFC. Good job, Maurice Greene, but the matter of the fact is, your opponent tapped out to blood pressure, basically, because Gian Villante showed up like an absolute fat fucking pig, and he is a disgrace, and I'm very disappointed in him. I really am. As soon as I saw him on the scale, I made my prediction. I thought, you know what? Gian Villante is the better fighter. If he comes in shape and actually looks somewhat good at heavyweight, I'm giving him this win. Ilir Latifi looked good against Derek Lewis. I'm going to give Gian Villante a chance against Maurice Greene as an underdog. I was so close. And I said, if Gian Villante shows up like a fat mess, like the thing that ate Gian Villante, then he's going to lose. And it's going to worry me. But I doubled down anyway. I saw him on the scales and I said he's still going to win. That's how deluded I was. And he just fucking Dada 5,000 himself in the 3rd round. I can't. And this is the thing. And we're going to get through this. This is a time where fighters are saying they aren't getting paid enough. And it's tough to argue that. Trust me, I feel like every fighter should earn a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, I'm on the team. But it's really tough to argue that when Gian Villante shows up the way he does and dies of exhaustion in the 3rd round. He was... I don't understand. But okay, he had asthma, he had a panic attack, I understand. But come on, man. You were not getting choked out. Fair enough, it might have been a bit of a squeeze on your head. But I reckon he genuinely just Dada 5,000 himself. And it was a disgrace to the sport, honestly. It really was. I've never seen anything like it. But guess what? Maurice Greene, by default, because they're not going to change what the score says, just pulled off, what, the first arm triangle from bottom in UFC history? Good job, Maurice Greene. Training at Jackson Wink, already picking up some eye pokes and oblique kicks. I like it. You know, maybe you snort a few pictograms as well. I don't mind it. Maurice Greene's looking good at Jackson Wink. I think he's going to improve. He has some problems that Gian Villante in that kind of shape was able to do that to him. That's some problems for Maurice Greene, in my opinion. But you know what? If the winner of this one wants to fight a Todd Duffy, a Greg Hardy, a Chase Sherman, an Andrei Arlovski, I'm absolutely down for that. Maurice Greene deserves a bit of a jump up in the rankings, but come on, man. Gian Villante, you fucking letdown. You absolute monstrosity. I don't mean to pile onto him here, but come on. That's just a disgrace to the sport, in my opinion. It's just a disgrace to the sport. Like, what was happening in sparring? What was happening in training? Could you not go 15 minutes? Because it's not like they were fighting at this amazing pace. If you can't go 15 minutes in sparring, you don't fight then. Don't show up then, Gian Villante. You are not Roy Nelson. Okay? You're not going to be able to pull this one off. He lost. He was winning. I thought if he kept going in that last round, he probably could have got a 10-8, and he might have won the second round as well, and it probably would have been a split decision to Gian Villante. But still, come the fuck on, Gian Villante. What the fuck? I feel bad for him, because... I don't know if I feel bad for him, because I don't think he feels bad for himself. I understand that he's probably out of a career here. I don't know what he's going to do next. I wouldn't even mind. There was some controversy in OSP versus Gian Villante 1. I wouldn't mind if they ran that one back at heavyweight. I honestly would be a fan of that matchup. I don't care. Put it on the main card of one of these terrible fight nights that we're having. But even still, come on, Gian Villante. Maurice Greene, good performance, but, you know, we all know what happened. Gian Villante. Too many pies. Good stuff. Gian Villante. It's become a meme now. Gian Villante was always the guy in the background of embedded episodes. Now he's the guy that Dada 5000 himself. Like, it's just, we haven't seen this since Dada. And I think it's actually a homage to Dada 5000. And I think he would be looking down and smiling. I don't even know if he's dead, but I assume so. I don't know why, but I just assume that he's dead. I'm sure he's looking down with a smile, welcoming another one of his own. Gian Villante. Oh my god. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I don't know what else to say. I thought I picked off a fucking amazing underdog there, but... You fuck. I'm actually so annoyed. But oh well. It's happened now, so we just have to get over it. Gian Villante's a fat, cretin cunt. Goodbye. Click that button now. I'll see you later.